Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am Mile Melody Daniels from the Philippines at the Ifugao State University. I will be presenting my study entitled Usability Assessment of Virtual Reality as a Training Tool for Oral Presentation. The flow of my presentation will start from an introduction, followed by the significance of the study, methodology, findings, conclusion and recommendation, and the references. As for the introduction, oral presentation is one of the widely used teaching learning strategies in the educational sector. And in oral presentation, students are tasked to deliver their outputs, such as research paper, project output, case study findings. They present it to their classmates for rating. One of the major problems of this delivery of oral presentation is the fear of public speaking. This is combined with the pressure of relaying information effectively. In practice, this problem is resolved by giving more opportunity to students to rehearse repeatedly in front of peers. But as we all know, organizing such setup becomes almost impossible during these times where when there is pandemic, face-to-face interaction is limited among schools. An alternative solution to generate a training environment for oral presentation is the use of virtual reality. With virtual reality, we can simulate a traditional training scenario and render it in a virtual environment in a 3D rendering. So several studies have shown that virtual reality has potentials in helping reduce general phobia, including fear of public speaking. Instead of exposing these patients into the real object for them to overcome their problem or their phobia, they are exposed to an imitation of such object in virtual reality. An example is the fear of heights. Instead of exposing the person or bringing the person to the top of the building to experience standing at a height, they are exposed to this kind of scenario through virtual reality, and it is found to have a good effect or positive effect in the healing process of this phobia. If this is applicable in general phobia, I believe this could also be applied in treating fear of public speaking. In virtual reality, we can expose our students to a group of audience, not limited to their classmates, but it could be a larger group of audience. Significance of the study. The study introduces an alternative solution that would help train our students for oral presentation. And the tool can be used individually as a self-learning tool, and it is portable, so they can use and practice wherever they are, whenever they have convenient time for it. So this can solve the problem in the classroom nowadays where there is a ratio of 1 teacher to 40 students. With that ratio, teachers can find it difficult to monitor the progress of the students in the area of public speaking or oral presentation. But with this tool, students can train on their own, and they can also view their performance and improve according to their scores. Findings of the study can be a basis for virtual reality developers to improve the design for VR, for oral presentation, not only limited to oral presentation, but also for other educational uses. The participants of the study is composed of 3 categories: IT students, non-IT students, and English teachers or the trainers. So purposive sampling was used to select these students. IT students, there were 20 students who were selected from a class, from a capstone project class, because they are set to present their project at the end of the semester. Non-IT students, I have selected from thesis class. These are fourth year students of non-IT program that has that are enrolled in thesis. So they are set to present their research paper at the end of the semester also to a group of panel. Of course, as trainers, in oral presentation, I've also included English teachers to rate the usability of the system. These participants were exposed to the virtual reality tool, and after which they have rated its usability. This is a screenshot or screenshots of virtual speech. The virtual speech is an app that is intended to train students to present, to deliver a topic to in a conference room to a group of professionals. The virtual humans look very similar to human appearance. They seem to be listening intently with slight nodding gestures, just like in a conference meeting. It has a voice and eye movement analysis feature that evaluates users' voice volume, pacing, and eye contact, and gives scores at the end of the speech. An example of such scores is seen in this photo. The system usability scale used to assess the system is, uh, is a widely used scale, and it has the following formula: x plus y times 2.5 multiplied by 2.5. Well, there's variable x and y because the scale is divided into two. It has two types of questions, positive questions and negative questions. So the variable y, x, would be the sum of the points for all odd-numbered questions. These odd-numbered questions are the positive statements, minus 5. Variable y would be 25 minus sum of the points for all even-numbered questions. These are the negative questions. The scores are interpreted using the following guideline. If it is greater than 8.3, it is excellent. 68 to 80.3, good. 68 is okay. 51 to 68 is poor, while less than 51 is awful. For the findings, I presented the summary first to see that there's a difference between the rating of those who have background in IT and those who does not have background in IT or limited background in IT. After the participants have tried out using the software, virtual reality software, it took them almost 20 minutes, an average of 20 minutes each to try out the system. And the summary of their scores is for trainers and IT students, the interpretation of their score is good, while for non-IT students, their assessment is poor. For the positive statements, most participants have agreed to these positive statements. So these are, I think I would like to use this system to train for oral presentation. I thought the system was easy to use. I think the various functions in the system were well integrated. I would imagine that most people would learn to use this system very quickly. I felt very confident using the system. Generally speaking, the mean scores across all participants is high, is agree. But why do we have poor rating for non-IT? This can be seen, or the reason can be seen from table 3, which is the mean score of SUS negative statements. For the second item, or item 2 of the SUS scale, I found the system unnecessarily complex. For this statement, all participants have disagreed. Their mean score is 2, so it's disagree. But for the second item here, I think I would need the support of a technical person to be able to use the system. Both English teachers and non-IT students have rated neutral, which means that some of them felt that there is a need for them. They agree that there is a need for a technical person to assist them. For item 6, I thought there was too much inconsistency in this system. Most of them disagrees to this statement, which is a good, indication that the system is consistent enough with its features. I found the system very cumbersome to use. Non-IT students have rated neutral, higher than higher than English teachers and IT students, which means that they would feel they would feel it quite difficult to use the system. And upon interview, the reason of such is because of the use of the headgear, which is placed on the head, which could be firing as they go along with the use of the system. It could be heavy on the head. For the last item, I needed to learn a lot of things before I could get going with this system. Both English teachers and non-IT students have shown an agreement or neutral up to agreement 3 to 4 to this statement, which means that because of that limited background in computer technology, they felt higher need to to use the system longer for a longer period of time for them to get familiarized with its features. And for IT students, they have a lower agreement to this statement because they have higher background in computer technology, as uh, as expected. When we have more experience in using technology, it would be easier for us to adopt the new technologies which are arising. In conclusion, usability rating of virtual reality as a training tool for oral presentation can vary depending on the technological background of users. This is due to the lack of on-screen assistant that would guide users in navigating through the system. Despite minor problems such as these, the use of virtual reality as a training tool for oral presentation is highly recommended. This is supported by the unanimous positive response of participants in the SUS scale number 1 or item 1, measuring their interest in using the VR tool for oral presentation. Developers of virtual reality systems should take these findings into consideration in order to boost the usability of virtual reality and optimize its potential for the benefit of its consumers. I believe there is a high potential for virtual reality to help in addressing the gaps in educational sector, and the study could show that there is that virtual reality could really help in the area of communication, the area of improving oral communication skills. So thank you so much for your time, and for any questions, I will be uh, addressing them to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mail, for the presentation. And is there any participant that have a question for Miss Mail? Okay, Miss Mail, do you have a plan to doing some other evaluation beside the usability scale or SUS, such as cognitive walkthrough or other techniques to get a deeper knowledge about the usability or user experience?
Hello,
Okay.
Snowy. Um, yes, since this is the start of the study, I'm sorry, it's a way to introduce this tool to our community. I started with testing the usability. To go further after this, I would like to test its effect, its actual effect to the performance of the students in a form of experimental, maybe to compare how those students who have used the virtual reality performed compared to those who applied other methods in teaching learning, or the current methods we are using in learning oral presentation. That's all.
For your future plan. Thank you.